Kevin Stefanski reportedly holding back Shedeur Sanders after Browns owner's shocking admission. Introduction: The curious case of Shedeur Sanders. When the Cleveland Browns selected Shedeur Sanders in the 5th round of the 2025 NFL Draft, it was considered a headline moment, one that combined football legacy with rising star power. Son of Hall of Famer Deion coach Prime Sanders, Shedeur entered the league carrying not only his father's name but also the promise of a first-round talent who had once graced Heisman Trophy watchlists. Yet, as the Browns press forward into training camp, Sanders' reality starkly contrasts the fanfare surrounding his arrival. Head coach Kevin Stefanski's guarded praise, cautious deployment, and strategic decisions appear to tell a story much deeper than what's on the surface. Despite his credentials, Sanders is trailing in practice reps, camp visibility, and public endorsement. Even more puzzling, Browns owner Jimmy Haslam recently distanced himself from the decision to draft Sanders, raising fresh questions about who truly wanted him in Cleveland and whether the coaching staff ever intended to develop him seriously. Is Shedeur Sanders being held back? Or is he just not ready for the NFL grind? The answer may lie somewhere in between, or perhaps in the unspoken politics of a franchise trying to juggle too many quarterbacks, manage public expectations, and salvage a tumultuous rebuild. Chapter 1. From Heisman hype to 5th-round reality. Just a year ago, Shedeur Sanders was lighting up the college football world under his father at Colorado. His poised pocket presence, quick release, and understanding of NFL-style offenses had many scouts convinced he was a top 10 prospect. Some mock drafts even had him going as high as 2nd overall, calling him the most polished quarterback in the class not named Caleb Williams. But come April, the buzz faded. Sanders slipped to the 5th round, with the Browns selecting him at number 144 overall, just 2 rounds after drafting Gabriel. It was a puzzling move for many. Was Sanders' slide due to off-field issues? Or perhaps NFL teams were scared off by his family ties and perceived baggage? Either way, by day 3 of the draft, Shedeur Sanders had become one of the biggest surprises, and perhaps biggest steals, of the draft. But what seemed like an opportunity at redemption quickly began to look like a political football. Chapter 2. Lukewarm praise, fewer reps. In late June, Shedeur Sanders stood on the sideline after a padded drill, his posture calm and composed, like someone who had done it all before. Reporters swarmed head coach Kevin Stefanski with questions about Sanders' development. The response was anything but enthusiastic. "He's working," Stefanski said. "We want all our guys to keep stacking good days." That was it. No praise, no excitement, no hints that Sanders was impressing in camp. For a player with Sanders' resume, the silence felt deafening. What made things more conspicuous was the way reps were being allocated in practice. While Shedeur spent more time watching, Gabriel, drafted 2 rounds ahead, was thrown into high-leverage 11 on 11 drills. Sources inside the Browns organization confirmed that although reps were rotated, film sessions and playbook installs showed a clear bias toward accelerating Gabriel's integration into the system. It was clear Gabriel was being fast-tracked. Sanders was being redshirted. Chapter 3. The Haslam bombshell. Then came Jimmy Haslam's bombshell. At the Browns' annual training camp media session, Haslam addressed the elephant in the room, the surprise pick of Shedeur Sanders. "If you'd have told me Friday night we were taking Shedeur, I'd have said, 'That's not happening,'" Haslam said. "But we had a conversation that morning. At the end of the day, that's Andrew Berry's call." With those words, Haslam didn't just distance himself from the Sanders pick, he detonated a narrative. His remarks made it abundantly clear that Shedeur was not a consensus choice, and perhaps not even a desired one from the top of the organization. Instead of extinguishing the controversy, Haslam's honesty added fuel to a fire already threatening to consume the quarterback room. Chapter 4. The crowded QB carousel. The Browns' quarterback room has been a revolving door for years. From Baker Mayfield to Deshaun Watson, from Jacoby Brissett to Joe Flacco, Cleveland has struggled to find consistency under center. Currently, the depth chart features Deshaun Watson, the expensive, embattled starter with a questionable future; Kenny Pickett, the former Steeler with starting experience and a chip on his shoulder; Joe Flacco, the veteran returnee who refuses to fade away. Dylan Gabriel, the third-round rookie drawing starter-level reps. Shedeur Sanders, the forgotten prodigy. It's a quarterback conundrum with no clear resolution, but one glaring omission. Sanders has not been given a real shot to compete. Even with Pickett nursing injuries and Watson out of favor with ownership, Sanders remains buried on the depth chart. Chapter 5. Perception versus reality. From the outside, the situation looks confusing at best and political at worst. Sanders was considered a franchise-caliber quarterback. He walked into camp polished, media-savvy, and mature. His practice tape reportedly shows command of the offense and an ability to adjust mid-play, skills coaches typically salivate over. And yet, he remains the fourth-string QB, relegated to mop-up reps and third-team drills. Haslam attempted to put a positive spin on things. He's come in the building, worked hard, kept his head down and done what he's supposed to do. But the disconnect is palpable. Fans and media expected a fiery competition. What they got instead was a slow fade into the background. Chapter 6. Off-field chaos compounds tensions. Meanwhile, the Browns' rookie class has become a lightning rod for controversy. First-round running back Quinton Judkins was arrested just weeks after being drafted. His off-field issues, along with his failure to sign his contract, have cast a shadow over the team's draft class. Haslam acknowledged the tension. It's extremely frustrating. Obviously, we're not communicating as well as we should, and we take responsibility for that. In this chaotic environment, Sanders has become a model of restraint. No headlines, no controversy, just quiet professionalism. But in the NFL, silence doesn't always earn opportunity. Sometimes it just makes you invisible. Chapter 7. What's holding Stefanski back? Is Kevin Stefanski playing it safe? The Browns' head coach is known for being methodical and risk-averse. That's not necessarily a bad trait for a coach, but in this case, it might be costing Cleveland a generational talent. Several insiders believe Stefanski's conservative approach has hindered Sanders' development. While other teams are giving rookies first-team reps to see what they've got, Sanders remains in wait-and-see mode. He's treating him like a UDFA, not a guy who was once mocked at number 2 overall, one anonymous source noted. Another league executive reportedly said, "It feels like they're hand-holding instead of evaluating." That may be Stefanski's way, but with so much uncertainty at quarterback, the question is whether the Browns can afford to be so cautious. Chapter 8. The clock is ticking. Shedeur Sanders may be keeping his head down for now, but the clock is ticking. If he's not elevated on the depth chart soon, the perception of him as a miss will begin to harden, fair or not. And if the Browns cut him or stash him without seeing real snaps, they risk letting one of the most intriguing quarterback prospects in recent years slip through their fingers. That's not just a coaching failure. That's an organizational misstep. Especially when the fans, many of whom showed up in Deion Sanders jerseys on day 1 of camp, want to see what the kid can do. Chapter 9. Legacy, Pressure, and the Deion Factor. Part of the reason Sanders' case is so compelling is because of the legacy he carries. Being the son of Deion Sanders comes with expectations, scrutiny, and unfair comparisons. Deion has publicly backed away from lobbying for his son, instead encouraging Shedeur to earn everything. Still, the emotional connection can't be ignored. If Shedeur does get his shot and thrives, it's a redemption arc for the family. If he fails, or worse, never gets a chance, it becomes another chapter in the long list of NFL what-ifs. Conclusion. From shadow to spotlight? So what now? Shedeur Sanders stands at a crossroads. He has the talent. He has the temperament. But unless the Browns adjust their approach, he may never get the chance to show it. Kevin Stefanski must decide whether he's coaching to maintain the status quo or to build something bold. And Jimmy Haslam must decide whether he truly believes in this quarterback class or whether his hands-off statements are just the beginning of another quarterback exodus in Cleveland. Because in the NFL, stories like Shedeur Sanders don't just disappear, they explode. The only question now, will Stefanski light the fuse? Kenny Pickett's injury doesn't help Shedeur Sanders. It just propels Dillon Gabriel into the spotlight. Prologue. A window that never opened. It should have been Shedeur Sanders' moment. A veteran quarterback going down early in training camp, especially one with a history of lower body injuries, typically signals an opening for a promising rookie. That's how it's supposed to work in the NFL. When Kenny Pickett limped off the field last week with a hamstring injury, many expected a quarterback room shuffle that would finally push Shedeur Sanders into the spotlight. But what followed wasn't a changing of the guard. It wasn't even a gentle nudge. Instead, the spotlight swerved in another direction, straight toward 24-year-old Dillon Gabriel. And for Sanders, the silence spoke louder than any promotion could have. Chapter 1. The domino that didn't fall Sanders' way. In most NFL camps, a setback for a frontrunner triggers an automatic recalibration of reps. The pecking order gets reshuffled. That wasn't the case in Cleveland. Kenny Pickett's injury, which sidelined him from the Hall of Fame game and potentially more, did nothing to alter the quiet developmental arc of Shedeur Sanders. All signs now point to Gabriel, the third-round pick out of Oklahoma, as the primary beneficiary. The left-handed QB, with years of starting experience, is not just filling in. He's flourishing. In sharp contrast, Sanders remains an intriguing but sidelined talent, trying to catch up to the breakneck pace of the NFL. Insiders like Daryl Reuter from 92.3 The Fan confirmed the emerging hierarchy. "I feel like they're preparing Dillon Gabriel to play more than they're preparing Shedeur to play," Reuter stated. "I have no indications that Shedeur's going to get reps with the first team." It's a far cry from what fans expected when the Browns drafted Deion Sanders' son, a quarterback once mocked inside the top 10. Chapter 2. The Gabriel Surge. While Sanders watches from the wings, Dillon Gabriel is busy writing his own preseason fairy tale. With 49 college starts, more than 14,000 passing yards, and years of leadership experience, Gabriel is making his presence impossible to ignore. In 7-on-7 drills, he's crisp. During team activities, he commands attention. Gabriel has adapted quickly to Cleveland's new offensive system under O-line coach Mike Bloomgren and displays the kind of line-of-scrimmage control coaches love. Unlike Sanders, Gabriel appears unencumbered by the complexities of the playbook. He reads defenses fluidly, adjusts protections pre-snap, and connects with second-team receivers with ease. He's not just filling a gap, he's climbing the depth chart. For a team still reeling from Deshaun Watson's inconsistencies and underwhelming 2024 campaign, the notion of game readiness is everything. And right now, that notion is spelled Gabriel. Chapter 3. Sanders' Learning Curve. None of this is to say Shedeur Sanders isn't talented. His 2024 senior campaign at Colorado was nothing short of electric. Over 4,100 passing yards, 37 touchdowns, and a leadership quality that energized the Buffalo's entire program. But translating college success to the pros is never a seamless journey, especially for quarterbacks coming from spread-style offenses. Sanders' transition has been marked by steady learning, not sensational flashes. That's not necessarily a bad thing. But in today's NFL, patience is rarely afforded. In walkthroughs, Sanders has impressed. His mechanics are solid, his confidence unshaken. But consistency remains elusive. He's still adapting to the speed of pro defenses, the timing windows of NFL receivers, and the pre-snap chaos that defines the Sunday chessboard. He's not quite there with protections, one insider shared. You can tell he's thinking more than reacting. Gabriel's already past that stage. Chapter 4. The Browns' Quarterback Conundrum. The current quarterback room is one of the NFL's most unpredictable. Deshaun Watson remains the expensive enigma at the top. Kenny Pickett was brought in for depth and possibly insurance. Joe Flacco returned as the seasoned veteran. Then came the rookies, Gabriel and Sanders, each bringing vastly different narratives. And while both rookies were drafted with development in mind, only one seems to be getting accelerated attention. Gabriel's rise has tilted the Browns' QB balance. With Pickett on the mend and Flacco unlikely to feature beyond preseason, Gabriel is positioning himself as the primary backup, or maybe more. As for Sanders, He may have to wait longer than anyone anticipated to showcase his abilities. Chapter 5. Preseason reps, the currency of trust. In NFL training camp, reps are currency. And who gets those reps often reveals more than what coaches say at the podium. Gabriel is getting more of them, more playbook access, more second-team drills, more situational work. He's being entrusted with building chemistry with receivers and linemen. The staff's faith is showing. "He's earned it," said one assistant coach anonymously. "It's not about where you were drafted. It's about what you do with what you're given." Dylan is ready. Shedeur might be. Eventually. That eventually may not come during the Hall of Fame game, where Gabriel is expected to take the lion's share of snaps. Sanders may see the field late in the preseason, if at all. Chapter 6. The psychology of being overlooked. Shedeur Sanders' journey has been shaped by high expectations. The son of Deion Sanders, he's lived under a microscope since high school. Every step of his football career has been amplified by praise, by doubt, and by legacy. To find himself fourth on a depth chart after being one of the most hyped quarterback prospects in the country is a psychological hurdle, not just a competitive one. Still, Shedeur has handled it with quiet resolve. No public complaints, no viral sideline moments, just steady work. "He's been professional," Jimmy Haslam said last week. "He's putting in the time, staying quiet, and showing up ready. But we have a process." That process, however, is beginning to feel like a bottleneck, and fans are beginning to notice. Chapter 7. Gabriel isn't just a placeholder, he's a real threat. Dylan Gabriel was never supposed to be the showstopper. Most draft analysts had him pegged as a developmental quarterback, maybe a long-term backup. But with every day in Berea, Ohio, he's rewriting the script. It's not just his efficiency, it's his demeanor. Gabriel is winning over coaches, teammates, and media with a blend of humility and readiness. He's coachable, adaptable, and confident. All the traits a team like the Browns desperately needs at quarterback. And as Gabriel cements his status, Sanders watches that opportunity slip through his fingers. For now. Chapter 8. Where do the Browns go from here? The Browns' quarterback room is starting to crystallize. Deshaun Watson will remain the starter, contractually and politically. Dylan Gabriel is surging into the backup role. Kenny Pickett's injury casts doubt on his availability. Joe Flacco may hold a mentor's clipboard. Shedeur Sanders is suddenly the odd man out. That's not to say he's out of the picture. But unless the Browns shift gears and give him meaningful preseason reps, his rookie year may be defined by mental reps rather than live action. For a player who once appeared destined for a day-one starting role, that's a stunning development. Chapter 9. The fanbase reacts. Across social media, Sanders fans are venting their frustration. "Why draft Shedeur if you're not going to use him?" One fan tweeted. "Coach Prime should have warned his son about Cleveland." Another posted. The debate is fierce. Some argue that Sanders is being developed the right way, slowly, methodically. Others believe he's being ignored because of his name, his background, or internal politics. Whatever the reason, the Browns' approach to Sanders is becoming a flashpoint. Chapter 10. Conclusion: the wrong window or the right weight. This isn't the story Shedeur Sanders fans expected to read in late July. An injured Kenny Pickett was supposed to create a vacuum, one that Sanders could fill with arm strength, poise, and leadership. But in the unforgiving NFL machine, opportunities are rarely handed out. And when they are, you better be ready or someone else will be. Right now, Dylan Gabriel is that someone else. He's reshaping Cleveland's quarterback dynamics in real time. And Shedeur Sanders? He's watching from the sidelines, waiting for a window that may never reopen.